Hello, hi everyone. Nice to see that we have a good number of attendees and welcome. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Kim. So my name is Pamela and I'm based in Quito, Ecuador, in the middle of the world in Latin America. So if you have any questions and you speak Spanish or Portuguese, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. I will be happy to assist you. Thank you, Mikhail.
You're welcome. Everyone, please feel free to drop your questions in chat. We will first spend about 5 to 10 minutes giving you an overview of our university so that you will be familiar with the study environment, about programs, admission requirements, a little bit more of what we offer as an institution, and then we'll dive into the mental health care assistant diploma, where Pamela and Kim will speak more about the specific admission requirements that you will have to meet when applying to this program. The deadlines, the costs, the benefits of taking this program. It's a very unique program that is offered only to international students. So we're really excited to speak about that. However, feel free to drop your questions in chat at any time. We'll look at your questions right at roughly at the midpoint of the webinar and go through them one by one. So now let me share the screen and hopefully you can see it well. If you can't, please let me know. First question we often receive is about our location. Considering that we are called Vancouver Island University, I still being asked every day where in Vancouver we are. Well, we are not in Vancouver City, but on Vancouver Island. There are a few benefits to that location. First is being able to stay a bit away from hustle and bustle of big city with the traffic jams and some very pleasant, but some not so pleasant neighborhoods. But here on the island, it's very peaceful, quiet, and not quite remote at the same time. We're still very close to the mainland. You can see that international students can get to us by either taking a flight from Vancouver, from Calgary, or from Toronto if it's summer, because Nanaimo is a big tourism hot spot. Therefore, we have direct flights even from Toronto in summer. But quite often, students prefer to take a ferry. And there are two options now, either BC ferries, which takes about 1 hour, 40 minutes, and it goes from Vancouver to Nanaimo and Victoria, or a new speed ferry called Hollow, which was launched just a couple of weeks ago. That ferry cuts your travel time by half. If you do prefer to fly, you can take a regular plane or a float plane. It takes about 20 minutes. So a few options to get to Nanaimo, where we've got two ports and one regional airport. What I was really excited about myself when I moved to Nanaimo about four and a half years ago was abundance of activities you can do outside of your work and education. You can ski, you can hike, you can do and go whale watching, kayaking, diving, skydiving. So if you are interested in any more or less active sports, you can do it, perhaps all of that here in Nanaimo or around on the island. However, if you do prefer a city life, you can still experience it in Nanaimo or in the capital, Victoria, which is the capital of our British Columbia province, located at the southern tip of the island, or in Vancouver City, where you can go on the weekend, perhaps. About VIU, we are a public university with nearly 90 years of history. And even though we have several campuses, the largest and the main campus where you will study as well is located in Nanaimo. We have even more than 12,000 students now, and about 1,400 of them are full-time international students coming from 90 different countries around the world, from North America, South America, Africa, different parts of Asia, Europe. So please drop your country in chat. We would love to know and see where you're joining us from today. Even though it may seem as large numbers, more than 1,000 international students, 12,000 students overall, our classes still remain quite small. It's about 35, 34 students per class, which really helps with the high quality of education. The professors will know you by your name. You will really get close to not just teaching materials, but also you will constantly be in touch with professors and themselves, not just teaching assistants. And later on, when it comes to finding your first job in Canada, perhaps it will really help. Those close connections with the faculty, with the industry through the faculty, and by using our career studio as well that we established about 2 semesters ago. It's located actually in the same building where I work. So I see those students every day coming over for their help with CV, with resume, interviewing skills, attending the job fairs on the campus or around in Nanaimo. A few unique points about VIU. Other than location that I mentioned earlier, we also enjoy a really mild climate here in British Columbia. We never experience as harsh winters as in Ontario, let's say, or Alberta. In the winter, most of the days temperature is still in plus zone, about 4 to 6 degrees Celsius. We do see maybe 2 weeks of snow at most. However, if you go into the mountains, you can ski the whole winter, which is really nice. In summer, it's about 20, 25 degrees most of the time. In mid of July, there is a bit of a hot weather if you like that as well. So about 30 degrees perhaps. You can swim that time as well if you brace yourself. That's what I was trying to do this summer. So what we see different in British Columbia is that it doesn't really snow, it rains quite a bit. Apart from climate and weather, Nanaimo is a big hot spot for tourists coming from across Canada, from the United States, and the rest of the world, because you can do diving, as I mentioned, and I do that myself. You can do whale watching, you can do mountain climbing, so some of the activities that you cannot find in other parts of the world. It's also a safe and friendly community. You don't just go to campus, study, go to the library back home. There's a lot of cultural events happening in and around Nanaimo. Farmers market in summers, cultural festivals. And I must say, we have quite a big international community as well, which is growing every year. And it's really nice to see. Just a couple of words about programs that we offer. Apart from mental health care assistant diploma, which is a 2-year undergraduate diploma, we also offer a range of other short and long-term programs, ranging from 1-year certificates to 2-year diplomas and 4-year bachelor degrees at the undergraduate level, and then 1 and 2-year graduate diplomas, 2-year masters, and then our English language courses for those students who need support with their language skills before they start the academic program. We also have a few university transfer options. And for younger students, we offer high school right on campus as well for grades 10, 11, and 12. And this year, we're really excited. Our high school became authorized as an IB school. So now students have an option of pursuing either British Columbia High School Diploma, which is called Dogwood Diploma, or graduating with a IB diploma. Now I'd like to pass the mic to my colleague, Kim Fraser, who will speak to you a little bit more about the mental health care assistant diploma.
Thank you, Mikhail. Good morning or good afternoon to all of you. We're very excited to be able to offer our new mental health care assistant program at our Nanaimo VIU campus for international students. My role as the chair of the program is to make sure that students coming in are well greeted and well supported through the entire 2 years of the program. I will be working with each of you as you apply to the program and then through your courses, and especially during the first year. I just want to make sure that you've got everything that you need to be successful We have a group of fantastic instructors or professors that will support you with essay writing or study skills, or if you need a computer, you have to borrow a computer. We have everything available to you. And I just want to make sure that you're, initially the first month or two, that everything is set up well for you. I also wanted to mention that there is a co-chair. Her name is Louise Stern, and she'll be coming to see you during the second year of the program. The first year of the program really is about teaching you how to care for persons that have physical health challenges. And we take you through a series of courses and show you the different body systems. We show you the heart and the lungs and the musculoskeletal systems. And then we go through different common health challenges, medical health challenges that people experience as they age. And we show you how to care for people that have those physical health challenges. So the first year is all about looking after people with physical health challenges. There is some anatomy and physiology in one of the courses. There's some medical terminology that we'll teach you, because you will be entering into the medical system here in Canada, and we are going to familiarize you with a lot of the terms and a lot of the role of the entry-level healthcare assistant. The second year of the program, we take a real deep dive into mental health and the theories and ways of intervening with people that have mental health challenges and challenges with addictions, because you're going to be meeting people that have all of those. They're going to be complex. They're going to have physical health challenges, mental health challenges, and some of them are going to be struggling with addictions. We are going to give you the tools to be able to communicate well with persons with any kind of health challenge or disability. And in the end of the 2 years, there is a project that you will put together. It's called a capstone project, where you'll have to demonstrate that you understand the theory and the concepts from the first year of the program and the second year of the program. So, there's lots of courses in between. We do have some practicums that we take you out on. We take you into different areas in the community. We'll take you into a long-term care setting so that you can look after people that are aging. We take you into some mental health settings in the community. And in the end, you'll be paired up with a mentor that works in a mental health care setting. You and your mentor will work together. It's sort of an overview, kind of a final practicum that you'll attend. So if you have any questions during this seminar, or you have any questions after the seminar, please feel free to contact me. My email, I'll put my email in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. I think we do have some questions that I think it would be better if we answer them live. There are a few students asking, or a few participants asking if they would be able to apply to the program even though they are already doctors in their home countries, or they are nurses. So can
Of
you
course.
please?
Of course, we accept doctors and nurses from other countries. There are some admission requirements that you must meet, right? Like English language requirements, education requirements, and I'm sure that Mikhail and Pamela can speak to those. But yes, we do absolutely accept doctors and nurses from other countries. Yes.
What about the students with a different field, engineering or maybe business? Can they still apply to the program?
They can still apply. We have that quite commonly. People are applying. They were previous engineers, or they were working previously in IT computers, but now they want to work in the healthcare system, and they have a strong pull towards helping others. And yes, of course, we accept people that have backgrounds that are different from healthcare. Yes.
And do we have any age restrictions?
There are no age restrictions. I have students applying who are 17, they're high school grads, and I have people up into their 70s that are in the program, right? As long as you're physically fit and able to carry out the duties of the position, you can enter. So no, we don't have an age restriction.
Thank you. Mikhail, there are a lot of questions regarding scholarships. Would you please talk a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. And going back to the various backgrounds international students are applying with, when I was a kid, I wanted to graduate with a Master of Chocolate Eating Studies. So even if I would have done that, probably I would still qualify, perhaps. But I became a teacher instead. Um, so speaking of scholarships, we did offer quite a few scholarships last year to international students. This year we'll do it again. They not have been confirmed yet. So next month in October, we'll have an updated list of scholarships and the requirements posted on our website. So please stay tuned. But reflecting on what we had last year, we were offering a few scholarships to full-time undergraduate students. Some of them did not require separate application. They were called entrance scholarships. So our admissions team was looking at your transcripts, and if you are amongst one of the top applicants based on your transcripts, you would receive $1,000 entrance scholarship, which is awarded once. There were also regional scholarships last year, $5,000 for one student from each region. Latin America, North America, Canada specifically, United States separately, then Middle East, Africa, Asia. So those scholarships did require an application submitted before the deadline, which was at some point in February, and a personal statement and one-page document where you explain your reasons why you think you would qualify for a scholarship. And there were a few other scholarships. So in a few weeks, we'll see how they will change or remain the same this year. And so please visit our website, viu.ca. You can type in the search box scholarships, and then that page will be the first one to come up in about a few weeks. I also wanted to speak a little bit more about admission requirements for the program. Pamela, can you please drop the program webpage in chat as well so that everyone can view it at their time, whenever they have free time? But once you go to the program webpage, you will see a few tabs there. One of them related to cost, program outline, that would be the second one, then admission deadlines, and then application requirements as well. So there you will see that you'll have to meet the standard requirements that VIU is asking international students to meet, and additional requirements set by, what is it called, BC registry. Let me just give you the exact name so that I don't make a mistake. So BC Care Aid and Community Healthcare Workers Registry. They have separate requirements that you can review them as well. But basically, there are two requirements for you to meet. First is to graduate with a high school diploma and present that diploma in grade 12 transcripts to us. And second requirement would be the language proficiency requirements. Some of you may qualify as native English speakers, and there is a specific list of countries that qualifies. So VIU has separate lists, but we here for this program have to follow a more selective list of the countries. So Ghana, for instance, is one. So if you are from Ghana, then you don't need to submit IELTS or TOEFL language test. If you are from Kenya, you qualify as well. If you're Mauritius as well, South Africa, for instance, but not Nigeria. So I want to point that out. In that case, if you do need to submit a language test, then IELTS or TOEFL or CELPIP are welcome. You would need to submit IELTS academic to meet our requirement as well, and it should be 6.5 overall, with at least 6 in each of 4 bands. Thank you, Pamela, for highlighting this. Apart from IELTS, there is also TOEFL IBT and a few other tests to choose from. So yeah, as for the application submission deadlines, Pamela, please share that portion of the screen as well with us. So we are now accepting applications for February 2024 intake, which is in less than half a year from now. And you're welcome to submit the application online at any point up and starting from, well, I would say today up until October 15th. Application comes with an application fee of 150 Canadian dollars, and applications are submitted on Education Planner BC. So it's a new application portal. We switched to just a couple of weeks ago, it made the whole process more streamlined and straightforward and clear for students. So right here, you will create your account, select VIU, and submit the application for MHCA, Mental Health Care Assistant Diploma.
We also have
If you have any questions, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Pam?
we also have questions. Thank you, Mikhail. We also have questions about program fees. Can you please talk a little bit more about that, Mikhail?
Yeah.
Thank
For
you.
sure. As you can see here, there are international fees and domestic fees. So if you are not a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, then you will be an international student. The program is 2 years long, so 2 academic years. 1 academic year is 8 months, so spring and fall, 8 months. So the first year tuition is 27,000 Canadian dollars, and then there are a few other fees, lab fee, student union fees. Those are minor fees. So overall, you would be expected to pay about close to 29,000 Canadian dollars for the first year. Second year is a little bit different, and it will be cheaper. So overall, about 19,000 Canadian dollars. So that's the cost of your education. Now, accommodation, food, transport, all that comes separate. And I would specifically highlight accommodation questions. It does take time to secure accommodation on campus, and it's important to apply for on-campus accommodation if you'd like to live on our campus right after you are accepted into the program, so that we still have some available rooms for you. There are single rooms, double rooms, large apartments. Considering that the program starts already in February, which is a few months from now, there might be not that many options available right now. If you are not able or don't want to live on campus, then it's important to start searching for off-campus accommodation right away. We do provide support with that as well, but that's something you should definitely look into right after being accepted into the program. Third option is homestay. And we partnered with a third party called Canada Homestay Network, and they arrange homestay options for you. You can be 17 years old, you can be 70, doesn't really matter what age. That Canada Homestay Network will work with you to find a matching family. Yeah, so these are the main questions, I guess.
Yeah. We have another question about job opportunities while they're on campus, while the students are working. Can a student work and study? What are the opportunities and what options do students have to work in campus?
Well,
is it for me or for Kim?
Yeah,
It can
maybe
be
it's for
both.
Well, let me just say that, students in the program do work. They usually work 1 or 2 shifts a week. Anything more than that seems to be a lot with all of the homework that you're going to have in the courses. So yes, I think that, it's perfectly fine to work 1 or 2 shifts a week, but anything more, I would caution students on. There is lots of work available to you. And Mikhail, maybe you can speak about what's available on campus for students.
Sure. Yeah. So from legal point of view, you can work if you are an international full-time student. You can work up to 20 hours per week on campus, and then which is part-time. And then technically you can work full-time as well between semesters during the break, which is 35 or more hours. The minimum wage currently is $15.65, I believe, per hour in British Columbia. There are hundreds of jobs on campus, but there are also thousands of students, as you saw in my presentation. So it's important to, if you want to work on campus, it's important to apply and then keep applying and, stay competitive and perhaps stop by our building where I work in 255 and speak to one of the advisors at the career studio, or drop off your resume there. So hundreds of jobs, part-time jobs on campus, and then there are thousands of jobs off campus. But as Kim mentioned, I wanted to highlight that job comes after your education. So your main focus is on your study so that you study well and graduate with high marks. And then after you graduate, you'll be able to work full-time in Canada. This program is eligible for post-graduation work permit, known as PGWP. And if you study for 2 years, which is this program, you can apply up to 3-year-long post-graduation work permit. So if your plan is to remain in Canada and build your career in Canada, between 2 to 3 years after graduation, you'll be able to stay in Canada and work full-time. Well, anywhere in the country, basically, apart from Quebec, they have some specific requirements, but whether it's Vancouver Island or mainland British Columbia or Alberta, Ontario, so you'll be able to stay in the field and work in this sector with the mental health care diploma that you graduate with.
Thank you, Mikhail. We also have questions about the fee structure. I know we mentioned the prices, but can you explain a little bit more about the process? Do students have to pay per year, per semester? How do payments need to be done?
Sure. The very first payment would be the application fee, which is $150 that you pay once you apply online. After that, it takes about 2 weeks to process your application, sometimes less. And if your application is successful, you'll receive an offer letter with the request to pay tuition deposit, which is refundable and is 2,500 Canadian dollars. After you pay by credit card, debit card, wire transfer, whatever option you prefer, and after university receives those funds, you will receive a letter of acceptance, so-called LOA. With that LOA, your next step would be to apply for a study permit, which, depending on the country, takes from, I would say, a month to up to 9 months, even sometimes. So on average, takes about 3 months. So it's important not to delay the overall process. Apply for the program early, and then submit all your documents, and then pay the tuition deposit, if possible, as early as possible, and then so that you have more time for Government of Canada to process your study permit application. So if you by any chance do not receive a study permit application and you cannot join us right away, you can defer the beginning of your studies, then reapply for a study permit later on, or you can request a refund and receive those 2,500 back. But if you do receive a study permit, then congratulations, we'll wait for you to join us on campus. And the remaining amount for the semester minus that deposit will have to be paid before the semester starts. So semester starts in February, and then you'll have the specific deadlines mentioned in letter of acceptance by when you need to pay the remaining amount. Going forward, you'll pay on per semester basis. So before a semester starts, you'll pay the full amount for that semester, not for the whole year.
Thank you, Mikhail. We have a question for you, Kim. There's a question that says, please, what would you say is very unique about this MHCA program?
Sure, I can answer that. So I think what's really unique is our class sizes. So we have a maximum class size that we would take up to 36 students in our class. We probably will see 30 students. So the smaller class size allows for you to, and I think Mikhail was speaking about this earlier, it allows for you to really form friendships with the students in class. Students often study together. They develop some lasting friendships that take them through the program and beyond into their careers. But we really get to know your professors, your instructors, and I get to know you. We really become quite a group. We support each other. We just are a team of success, making sure that you have what you need. So it's unique because of that, right? There's time. There's time and there's space to make sure that you have what you need to succeed in this 2-year diploma program. The other thing that I think makes this unique is the setting, and I know Mikhail spoke about this too. It's a beautiful place to live and to work and to play in Nanaimo. You can hop on the ferry to go to Vancouver, and you can, there's things to do all year round. In the winter, you can ski, you can skate, you can snowboard. On the island, there's several ski hills on the island, or you can go over to the mainland. In the summertime, there's, jet skiing, there's swimming, there's a multitude of things that you can do on the island, or when you're not in school. This is what students do afterwards. At 4 o'clock, they head out and they go for a hike, or they head out and they go skiing on the weekend. And so that makes it quite unique as well. There's always something to do. And there's always a friend available. There's always a faculty member available to you. I think those are a few things that make this program unique. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. We also have a question from an attendee. He's asking, I have done my high school 12th grade in science pre-medical in 2011. Can I apply as there's a lot of gap?
Yes, still apply. Absolutely, you can apply.
Just to, there are still a few questions regarding students who have a different field. Please remember that you can still apply even if you don't have a health background. You can still apply to the program. Remember that we have applications until October 15. You can find the application link in the chat. And you also have the link of the website where you will find all the information about the requirements and also about the tuition fees. Mikhail, we have a few questions. We have a student asking, my IELTS is more than 2 years old, and I have more than 7 years of experience. Will it count?
Work experience obviously counts. It will strengthen your application, but as for IELTS, it needs to be valid. 2 years is the time of IELTS validity, so we will need a valid IELTS or TOEFL.
Thank you, Mikhail. And just to reinforce this answer, for all the Nigerians that are asking, you do need to submit, as we mentioned, as Mikhail mentioned, you do need to submit either IELTS, TOEFL, and you will find more information in our website. Unfortunately, it is required for Nigerians. I have a question about a student from the Philippines. Do they still need to submit an IELTS or TOEFL, Mikhail?
Let me just confirm that. I believe, one second. Yes, Philippines, just like Nigeria, quite a few other countries also have to submit IELTS, TOEFL.
Thank you. I have some questions related to immigration. There's a question regarding, can I bring my family with me?
Right. Short answer, yes. When you apply for a study permit, you can mention your dependents on the application, say your spouse, your children. And if you receive a study permit, then your dependents mentioned on the application will receive visa as well, and they can travel with you to Canada. While you remain a full-time student in Canada, your spouse can work full-time, and your children can go to local high school, let's say public high school, if they're that age. If you don't mention them right away on your application, it's still possible to submit separate applications for your family members after you receive a study permit. It can be done even after you come to Canada, and then can join you after while you're studying at VIU. So they will be legally present in Canada as long as you study. And after you graduate, you apply for post-graduation work permit, so your status in Canada remains as legal. They will be able to stay as well.
Thank you, Mikhail. Just looking at the questions, there's another question. Hi, I have done a certificate, diploma with Allison. Can I still have a diploma with you? Yes, if you have already have another certificate of diploma somewhere else, you can still apply to BIU. Yes, we talk about, can you talk a little bit about master's degrees, Mikhail? Because I have a few questions if there are master's degrees in this field.
We do offer a few masters. Selection is not as great as at the undergraduate programs level. So overall, 150 programs to choose from. At the master's level, we offer few. They're not within the health field, but they're more business related, let's say MBA, or hospitality tourism related programs, such as Master of Sustainable Leisure Management. Or something in regards to project management, for instance. It's not a master's program, it's a postgraduate diploma. Project management can be applied to various fields and healthcare sector as well. So you can, after graduating with the 2-year undergraduate diploma, continue your education and apply for one of the graduate programs if you meet the requirements. Can be something business related or hospitality tourism or education, for instance. 2-year masters of education has two options: educational leadership and special education, and that pairs very well with what you will study while being enrolled as a mental health care assistant diploma student. Therefore, you can extend your program, your time at VIU as a student. Alternatively, you can study for 2 years, graduate with this undergraduate diploma, start working, apply for postgraduate graduation work permit, and then 2 years later, let's say, or 3 years later, you perhaps apply for permanent residency, become a permanent resident. At that point, you will be considered as domestic student and with lower tuition fees. And then you can come back to VIU and apply for master's or graduate diplomas at that time and pay lower fee and continue your education at the graduate level. So there are a few options, and we have academic advisors and immigration advisors as well on our campus. So once you are a student, you can meet them in person or schedule a Zoom call, and they will advise you on possible pathways.
Thank you.
I've seen one question asking whether we'll be sharing this presentation by email. So we do have your contact information. So we will, not me personally, but someone else will reach out to you with more information after the webinar.
Kim, we have a question from Gloria. She said, please, I have a 2.4 GPA in my bachelor program. Am I eligible?
Maybe that's a question for Mikhail. Is that in the admission section, Mikhail? GPA?
Probably. Is it 2.4 out of 4 or out of 10 or?
Yeah, you will need, Gloria, you would need to contact directly to our recruiter responsible for your region, and he'll be able to help you answering your question.
Yeah, just a couple of words about how we process applications. So you can reach out to recruiters, let's say me, Pamela, or someone else. Let's say if you're from Africa, we can advise you on the application process. Sometimes we can preview the forms that you send to us, but official answer, either yes or no, whether you're admitted or not, can only be given by admission team, and they will start looking at your application after you submit an application online. And sometimes the admission team does counsel faculty or consult with faculty as well. So it's a joint decision. So there are quite unique cases sometimes. So I wouldn't say a definite yes or no, because we will need to look at your application as a whole, not just your GPA. So we'll look at your background, education background, professional background, what you studied when, where, your language skills as well. And the decision sometimes is made on that basis, not just your GPA.
I have a few questions related to application fee waiver. Mikhail, can you reply that?
Sure. Theoretically, it is possible. We'll see. Again, it's a really case-by-case scenario what your case is. So depending on your situation, it might happen. You will need to reach out to your recruiter responsible for your region. Let's say Pamela for South America, me for Southeast Asia or Middle East, and then our other colleagues who are based in India or someone who's based in Nanaimo, overseas Africa. So with that recruiter, you can discuss the application process.
We also have another questions about scholarship for master's programs that you mentioned, Mikhail. Can you please help us with that
Yeah, so
information?
sure. Last year we were offering scholarships only for our undergraduate programs, not for masters. So this year we'll see how different that will be. So in a few weeks we'll know more, but I suspect that we will not have scholarships for masters probably. So if it remains as last year, it will be few scholarships for full-time international undergraduate students.
Thank you, Mikhail. Yes, all this information will be sent to you. We are recording this session. So, and we will also be sharing the link. You also have that in the chat. You also have the link of the website, remember, and the link of where you can send your application. We also have a few questions regarding the more questions about the English proficiency test. Please remember that you have to look at the exams, the tests that we accept, and the score that the students need to meet. You will find the right now. Oh, 1 second, I'm sharing in the link. In the chat, sorry, I'm sending the link where you can find all the tests that we accept. Mikhail, can you just talk again about accommodation and just an estimate of how much students need per month to cover those living expenses in Nanaimo, please?
Sure. And actually, let me see if I can share a couple slides with you. 1 second. Let me see here. Okay, you should be able to see it. So you will see here a floor plan for our on-campus accommodation, and picture on the left is our kind of townhouse style on-campus accommodation. I stayed there myself as well for a little bit a few years ago. It's really nice and cozy. Those buildings have kitchen facilities as well, where you can cook for yourself if you prefer that option. But overall, I would say it's quite flexible. So if you do live on campus, there are single and double rooms, and there are several bedroom apartments. You can choose them also with meal plan or without meal plan. If it's with meal plan, it's depending on how many meals per week, it might be additional. I would say maybe close to $1,000 a month additionally. Without meal plan would be cheaper, but then you'll either go to one of our 2 cafeterias on campus. We've got 2 lower and upper cafeteria, or to a nearest grocery store. It's a pretty big one in the plaza, which is about 20-minute walk or 5-minute bus ride. The buses come straight to campus and take you anywhere around city. You can go to Walmart, you can up, to the northern part of town. You can go south, or you can go straight down to downtown. So very convenient. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. Yes, and as for the room costs, they range. Single rooms are cheaper. They're about, I would say, close to $700 a month, I believe. And so single rooms are more expensive. Double rooms are a little bit cheaper. They're about $700 a month. And then if the more students you share with, the cheaper it becomes. So overall, I would say between $700 and $1,100 a month, roughly. You would stay as a student for 4 months in a semester, then there is a break, and then there is another semester, so spring and fall, 4 months. So academic year is 8 months. If you would like to stay for the whole year on campus and do not travel back home, let's say over summer break, then you can still stay on campus. The rates for rooms are separate. If you live off campus, it really depends on whether you live by yourself or with a family or you share with your friends. Normally, students prefer that option as well. After the first year at VIU, after they, let's say, opened the Canadian bank account, received some references, met the new friends. But it is possible for first year international students to start living off campus right away. Depending on the size of your accommodation, the cost may range from, I would say, $1,000 to $1,600 a month, depending on where you are as well. Nanaimo is not that big; it's 100,000 residents. So even if you live off campus, even if you live further away, I would say within 20 minutes by car or bus, you will still reach campus. You won't need to drive for an hour and rent a room somewhere in the basement far, far away as students do in Toronto or Vancouver. It's not a case with Nanaimo. Yeah. Did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you. I just sent in the chat the email address that you can contact. You can send all your questions and inquiries to workbiu@biu.ca. You have that email address in the chat, and we will give you all the information that you need to know. I also have a really good question for Kim. What are the opportunities for further studies after this program?
Right. So once you get your diploma for the mental health care assistant program, you have to spend some time working, as a mental health care assistant. And then we have opportunities where you could ladder into one of our nursing programs, right? You could go into our licensed practical nursing program or our Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. We also have some gerontology programs that you might be interested in. And there has been talks. I just wanted to put this out there, Mikhail. I was remembering this discussion with the dean about a mental health master's degree is in the works. So there is something coming up for you all that are interested in pursuing a master's degree in mental health. It's just in the discussion stages and the planning stages. So, yeah, go ahead.
Following up on that question, I also had my question. So mental health care diploma that we speak about is a 2-year program. Is it true to say that this 2-year program consists of 2 separate 1-year programs, and then students receive additional certificates? Aside from the mental health care diploma, there are also certificates that will be offered to them?
That's correct, right? This is a combined two different programs that already are existing at VIU. And what we've done is we've combined the healthcare assistant with the mental health care worker program to make this diploma, this 2-year diploma. So you will also be able to apply to the BC Carried registry after you complete your first year. And you'll be able to work as a healthcare assistant. You'll be eligible to work as a healthcare assistant. So yes, there's 2 separate certificates available here, as well as the diploma at the very end. Yeah.
And following with that, we have a question. After graduation, can I proceed to be a registered nurse? And if yes, how long would it take?
Right. So yes, you can pursue to be a registered nurse, and you can apply to the VIU Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, but you have to work some time as a mental health care assistant before you can apply to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. I'm not specific about how many hours you need to work or the time frame that you need to work before you can apply to ladder into the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. We can find that out for you.
I also wanted to mention that as of now, Bachelor of Science in Nursing is not open to international students. It is open to domestic students. So
right.
If you are planning to pursue degree in nursing at VIU, then perhaps your pathway would be to graduate with mental health care diploma, start working, accumulate those hours, receive your PR, become permanent resident in Canada, and then apply for a nursing program.
Thank you, Mikhail. We have a person from South Africa asking if she would need or he would need to submit an English proficiency test.
Not if you are from South Africa.
Thank
So
you.
South Africa is on that list of we spoke about earlier. So if you're from Kenya, South Africa, or Ghana, then no need for IELTS or TOEFL.
Thank you. We have another question for you, Mikhail. It's from Jessica. It says, I'm going to be in the express entry pool soon. What would be the fee if I come in?
Well, just being in the pool for express entry is still not being a permanent resident. You're still anywhere from 9 to 12 months away from becoming a permanent resident. So you will still be, if you decide to study before you finalize your status as a permanent resident, you will still be an international student. At some point, if your status changes, let's say 1 year from now, then we will change your status in our system as well. And starting from the second year, for instance, you'll be paying domestic fees rather than international. So that can be changed right away after you become a permanent resident in Canada. But if you're just about to be in the pool for express entry, then you will still be considered an international student. You will become permanent resident only after you physically land in Canada. So that's still quite some time apart from now. So either you wait and apply for our program a year from now, not for fall 2024, or you start now, start as an international student, and then later on, once you become a permanent resident, then we'll change your status.
Thank you. This is a question for you, Mikhail, too. We have an attendee asking if they already have a college diploma, do they still need to submit the high school transcripts to send their application?
Yes, that's right. We accept students on the basis of your high school qualifications because this is an undergraduate program. So you can submit your diploma transcripts as well if you'd like to strengthen your application perhaps, but it's not required. So what is required is your high school diploma with a grade 12 transcripts and language test. If you did complete your, let's say, undergraduate studies in a country where English was the first language, and you've taken some English courses, then perhaps your English requirement can be waived and you won't need to submit IELTS or TOEFL. It's kind of case-by-case scenario, so we will see. So it may benefit, your application, yes.
Thank you. And there are a few questions related to the English proficiency test. Just as a reminder, remember, please, that we do accept IELTS, but it has to be an academic, not general. No matter what your score is, you need to submit academic IELTS. We still have a few more questions. Please, I have a first degree in social work in sociology, 6 years now. Can I apply? And are there any scholarship for international students for those who may have financial difficulties? I'm from Ghana, thanks. As you know, as we have mentioned and Kim has mentioned, you can apply with any background and scholarship. As Mikhail mentioned, we are still waiting for the confirmation of what scholarships we will be offering. Last year, we were offering one regional scholarship for African students, and that would be informed later once we have the confirmation. Now, another important thing is that the scholarships are available just for students who start their intake in September. So that's something that you need to consider, please. We have another question. I have a question regarding settling in Canada and working there. I am married to French and I have three children. I'm in Tanzania, and but my husband and kids have got their French passport. I'm experienced in teaching Montessori in kindergarten. How can I apply for a job with accommodation there in Canada?
Okay, there was quite a few points there. So in Africa right now, with the family, okay, well, not disclosing too much of personal information and not discussing it at all. It's kind of a very specific case. So perhaps we better speak one-on-one rather than discussing it here with dozens of other students. So I would just suggest to perhaps email us better. That would be a better option. So worldviu@viu.ca. Pamela, can you please send that email in chat as well? So you can email us and then we will discuss that in more detail, what application procedure pathway for you would be in that case, and possible immigration options perhaps as well. But I would say that overall, if you are married to a foreign national, not sure if it will aid in any way your application, whether you're French or German or Nigerian, Kenyan. You're still an international student. If you were to study in different part of Canada, in Quebec, for instance, where French is quite popular, then perhaps you could study in French. But here at VIU, our classes and programs are offered in English. If that was part of your question. In terms of immigration and working rights, also, it doesn't really matter where you're from. So all international students have the same rights and responsibilities. And immigration pathway after your graduation would be the same in vast majority of cases.
Thank you. We have another question. It says, do you have an option for students to stay on campus with their family, or is it strictly for students without family?
Sure, it's just for students. So if you are bringing family with you, it's best if you live off campus. Yeah.
Thank you. Mikhail, can you just refresh how do students need to make payments? Is it by year or by semester?
Sure, it's by semester. So first you pay your refundable tuition deposit, and then before your first semester starts, you pay remaining amount, and then before each semester, you pay the amount for the semester. There are 2 semesters in a year, and you study for 2 years.
Yeah, and we have another question. It says, kindly, can you go over again the application fee waiver? I miss it.
Sure. Really case by case scenario. Most likely you will have to pay the application fee. If it's just an exceptional case, something really exceptional, then perhaps your recruiter responsible for your region can consider application fee. So maybe 1 or 2 applicants from Africa, or from Asia, Southeast Asia or South Asia. So you will need to connect with your recruiter on that.
Thank you. There's a question about a work visa. Just as a reminder, you will be applying for an academic program, so all the students will need to apply for a study permit. And as Mikhail mentioned, after you complete your program, you will be able to apply for the postgraduate work visa. We have a question about India. Indian students are asking if they would need to submit IELTS or TOEFL.
Yeah, students from India still need to submit one of the tests, IELTS or TOEFL, correct.
Thank you. And we have questions about fully funded scholarships. Is that something, please, Mikhail, can you?
We were not offering them in the past, and I doubt we will be offering them going forward. But one thing about scholarships, even if you don't secure your scholarship, the cost of education and specifically cost of accommodation in Nanaimo is lower than what you would see in other parts of Canada. So rent, for instance, is 25 to 30% lower than in Vancouver or Toronto. Education, cost of education, depending on what you compare us to, other colleges or universities. So sometimes we are on par, sometimes we're a little bit cheaper. So accommodation is the major expense for Canada and for international students. And even if you don't secure a scholarship, you still save only hundreds of dollars each month on your accommodation. That works better than any scholarship sometimes.
Thank you, Mikhail. I just sent again if students need to go through the tuition fees again or the admission requirements, you can visit our website and you will find all the information there. There are still a few questions. I cannot contact you in an email and send you. Please remember, you can send your questions to wordbiu@biu.ca. Can you demonstrate the payment methods? Can you just give that information again, Mikhail, please? Payment
Sure.
methods?
You will see, yes, yeah, you will see your payment methods on the education plan BC when you submit your application. But basically, the main ones are credit card, debit card, or wire transfer. Let's say if you do not want to use your card, or if it's not an option, you can wire transfer funds, $150 to VIU. That bank account information will be listed there. It will take longer, maybe up to 2 weeks or so. But and then you can submit your application. It will be waiting in the system, and then once our admissions receive the funds, finance department confirms that, your application will be processed. Same way for tuition payments and offer and paying the deposit as well. So card or wire transfer.
Thank you. We have a question. Are dogs allowed in campus and in the apartment?
On campus, yes, and we actually had community dogs coming to campus. I remember before COVID for new students to socialize with dogs, and it helps with mental stress as well sometimes. Whether dogs can stay with you on campus in the room, I am not 100% sure, but I would say no. Any pet needs to be approved. If it's a hamster, let's say, then maybe yes, or fish in a tank. Or not in a tank, on a plate maybe, then yes. But larger than that, pets, no, I would say no.
There are a few questions regarding the application. Please remember that applications are open now. So if you want to go through the requirements, you can go into our website and send your application in Education Planner. We have applications open now until October 15 for the following intake in February. So if you are ready to apply, you can send your application as soon as you get all your documents ready. Maybe Mikhail, can you share in the link, because I have a few more questions about different countries who are asking if they would need IELTS or TOEFL. Maybe we can share that information.
I'm not sure if we can share it right away.
Joseph, can we put that in the screen 1 second so they can students can get that? I can do it.
Sure.
1 second.
I
Yes.
have it. Oh, okay.
So here's for all the ones that are asking questions related if whether they need to submit an English proficiency test or not. If your country is not here, that means you do need to submit either IELTS, TOEFL, or other English proficiency tests. We have a question, can I work and study? We have answered that question. Please remember that you can work part-time while you're studying and full-time during your breaks. Is there an option to study online?
Not as of now, as I'm now. Maybe Kim, maybe you can correct me. Or maybe some individual courses are offered online as well, but
Yeah, it looks like what we're going to do is have most of our courses for the first year offered face-to-face on campus, Monday through Friday. But of course, the clinical courses would be offered in the community, again, face-to-face. And then the second year, I think that the delivery method will change and most of the theory courses will be offered online. So there's going to be a mixed delivery. Yeah. For first year and second.
And yeah, from immigration and working rights point of view, if you are planning to stay in Canada after your graduation and receive post-graduation work permit, it's important that you study face-to-face more than 50% of your time. The more you study online, the less, well, there are various caveats to that, but the more you study online, the less options you have for you later on.
We have a question. Are there any radiology courses at VIU?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Nothing in radiology at VIU.
Thank you. Do university allow dependent visa or diploma course? Mikhail, this would be for you.
Sorry, one more time, please.
Do university allow dependent visa or diploma course on diploma course?
Well, yes. So earlier I mentioned that students can mention their dependents on the study permit application. So if that's what you mean, then yes. So when you apply for a study permit, you basically, once, let's say you accept into the program, you will submit your passport to local office in your country, and then your visa will be stamped in the passport so that you can travel to Canada. Once you come to Canada, at the airport, study permit application will be printed, and that's the document that will regulate your presence in Canada. So you don't need visa to stay in Canada. You need a study permit. And if you mentioned on your study permit application your dependents, then they will receive, let's say, work permit for your spouse, for instance. Then, yeah, they will come with you to Canada. So it is an option, yes.
Thank you. Kim, this one is for you. What is the criteria of selection? I know that there is an interview that needs to be done. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
So, I mean, the criteria, you have to meet all the admission criteria, first of all. You have to go through admissions. And once you've met and submitted all of the admission criteria, the team in the admissions department notifies me, and then we have an interview and we talk about, why you're coming into the program. Is this a program that's going to suit you? Because it is a fast-moving program. It's Monday to Friday, lots of homework. We just talk a little bit about what to expect. And and then after the interview is complete, I notify the admissions team that you are a great candidate for the program. Or maybe I notify the admissions team that, you still have some questions about the program. And I've got some questions that the admissions team will answer and reach out to you and provide answers to before you decide to come into the program. Did that answer that question?
Yes. Just one last question, because we have passed the time. When is the next intake? So please, I don't know, Mikhail or Kim can help us with that answer.
Right. So, go ahead.
Please. No, you go ahead.
So February is our first intake, February 26th of 2024. And then we're hoping to have another one in September of 2024, right? So there's a good possibility there will be 2 intakes, and that's all depends on the amount of people that apply. But we initially wanted to start in September of 2023. But we moved the date up to allow for more applicants to apply, because it is a brand new program, and the seats are filling for February.
Thank you. And just to answer one last question, it's about the documents. Will I have to certify my high school transcripts before submitting? I think this is an important question, Mikhail, please.
Not as a no of it. Well, when you apply, you will scan your high school transcripts, and if they're not in English, then you'll need to translate them, and that translation needs to be notarized. But other than that, unless it's specifically requested by our admissions team, you don't need to certify it by Ministry of Education and get those multiple steps. So if not requested, I would say no. Translation needs to be notarized though, and no need to send original copies to us at the application stage. You just scan your documents and apply with that. Original documents you can show to us once you are on campus. Because mental health care diploma is an undergraduate program, you can do that. If you apply for other program that is postgraduate program, then you need to send us original copies before you arrive to campus. But for undergraduate programs like this one, you can just bring your documents with you and present to us when you're in Canada.
Well, thank you very much. We still have a few questions, but these are very detailed questions. So please remember, you can send all your questions to wordbiu at biu.ca. We have that in the chat. I'm just going to put it again. You can send all your questions to this email address. And we want to thank you for your assistant. I know there are still a few questions, but we want to thank you, Kim, for your time and all the information you have shared. Very important information related to this program. Please remember that the applications are open. So if you want to go through the website, look at the admission requirements, you can send the application as soon as you get everything ready. Applications for our next intake in February will be closing in October 15. And as Kim mentioned, we have the possibility to have also another intake for September 2024. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Kim, for joining today. And remember to contact us at workbiu.ca.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.